A year ago, I got a letter from my state telling me to shut down the boot camp that I had spent most of my career building. So I was faced with a choice. I could either step away from my mission and the thing that I loved, or I could figure out how to become a fully licensed, state-approved career school. And after 12 months of hard work, self-doubt, and a lot of sacrifice, I'm happy to announce that we got our license, we got approved, and we are launching Peck Academy, a private career school to help people become instructional designers. So in this video, I'm going to share with you everything that went into this process and how we got our license. All right, so let me give y'all some background here. So my name is Devlin Peck. I got into the instructional design field back in 2016 when I got a random job on a training team when I was still a senior in college. So I quickly fell in love with it. My university had a really good master's program for it, so I started that as soon as I graduated my undergrad, and I started my freelance business almost immediately as well because I had grand dreams of traveling Europe and working from my laptop as a freelancer. So business started picking up. I was able to backpack around Europe for a little bit. I started earning six figures almost immediately out of my master's program, and I started spreading the word with my friends who were in teaching or people who I found on online forums who wanted to get into the field. I was telling people like, there's a ton of opportunity here. Like, this field is blowing my mind. The work-life balance is great. So come on board. I started creating actually Become an ID content in 2019. So after helping like 5 to 10 of my friends and peers break into the field, I was like, I'm repeating myself a lot. Let me put this all in like a big 10,000 word guide and put it online for free. And that's what I did. And then in 2020, when the pandemic hit, a lot of teachers started finding that content and a lot of people started wanting my help on their portfolios and wanted my help building the skills so that they could break into the field. So towards the end of 2020, as that demand grew and I got more and more emails, I started my instructional design portfolio bootcamp. So the idea was I would help people build really strong portfolio websites so that they could get noticed in the field and land better opportunities because, again, the portfolio, that's what made the biggest difference for me. So I figured if I could help other people create good portfolios, they could land good roles, and that'll be a good way to give back. And it was really inspiring. So from the free content and from the people who are completing the bootcamp, again, some people are already in the field and some new client projects came to me from that. But the most rewarding thing for me was always people coming to me and saying, hey, I was able to double my salary. Hey, your content changed my life. I landed a role where I get to work 40 hours a week and go home to my family and spend time with them instead of working 60 to 80 hours a week. So as more and more messages like that rolled in, I started feeling much more fulfilled from creating the free content and doing my bootcamp work, and word spread, right? The bootcamp started growing. I started hiring some people to help me out so that we could support more people. We started adding more content to the bootcamp. We added like a Storyline 360 course, like a technical skill course. We were adding deeper instructional design and learning science content. Resume, interview, LinkedIn. We were building it out more and more. Students were landing great roles at Amazon and big tech companies, government roles in some cases. So the results were compounding. We started growing quite well. And yeah, it wasn't just professional development for instructional designers, but what got me and my team most excited was that career transformation, letting people go from roles where they were feeling burnt out into these like remote roles with much better work-life balance. That's why we were waking up every day. That's why we were loving what we were doing. And yeah, I think our students and our prospective students saw that. And I think that is why the bootcamp was able to grow so well. So in the beginning of 2024, the beginning of last year, the business was doing really well. So we had a really solid team in place. Students were landing roles more easily than ever because of our curriculum updates. We had all of our processes documented, like things were going smoothly. I felt like an actual business owner where I was like, coordinating a team and focusing on results more than just being like the worker bee myself. We had this promise in place, right? Because we were helping students land roles so well, we started leaning into that more. So we started communicating that, hey, that's what we're going to help you do. We'll help you land this role. If you don't land a role within 6 months of completing our program, we'll give you everything that you've paid to us back. Because again, everyone who was completing this program was finding success. We had a really good system in place. as we started collecting a lot more data from our graduates, and we were publishing those numbers. So we were saying, hey, we are placing 100% of our graduates. They are making 90 to 95K, which is higher than the industry average. And yeah, again, business was going really well, but as you might imagine, some of our competitors were not super happy about this. They might have felt like we were stepping on their toes a little bit. And that's when some trouble started. So we had some misinformation campaigns getting started by some competitors, and it's very likely that one of our competitors reported us to our state for not being a licensed career school, which at the time, I had no idea what that was. I didn't know this was a requirement. I didn't know we had to have a license to help people get into our field. So it was a big wake-up call for me. I wish this person could have just come to me and said, hey, Devlin, you need to get licensed, like figure out this process. But yeah, it was pretty upsetting that they did it in a way where it felt like they were trying to get us shut down. So that was a little upsetting. That's what led to that letter saying that, we need to be licensed. I asked them what the report was because the person at the licensing office said it's always either an upset student or a competitor, or in most cases, that's what it is. And then this is the letter they got. So they didn't say they were a competitor, of course, but this is the language they use. So it's not really giving upset student. It's giving possible competitor who wants to shut us down. So that was really upsetting to see, right? I still have some, it still doesn't feel good knowing that there are people out there who want to stop me from helping people. And of course, there's no proof and all of that of exactly who did it, but I have a good idea, and it doesn't feel great. So that led me into the spiral, so to say. So the first few days, as you can imagine, after receiving this letter were really overwhelming, right? So it's this thing I spent the past 4 or 5 years building, investing everything into, and then getting a letter saying, hey, you need to shut down, or you need to go through this 6 to 12 month process and become a licensed career school. And I started looking into the requirements for that, and it felt so overwhelming. It felt like it didn't pertain to us because it's decades old laws that pertain to physical schools, it felt like. So yeah, I considered pivoting, right? It felt like a big loss of control. A part of what I loved about being a business owner is having that flexibility and that freedom to pivot and, improve processes on a whim and stuff like that. But with all of these compliance requirements, we weren't going to be able to function like that anymore. And we had a lot of systems that we needed to formalize and get approved by an external body. So yeah, it felt like a big loss of control. I considered pivoting, right? I had this AI tool that I was working on that I knew could, do really well in the ID space. I considered focusing more on professional development, for corporate instructional design teams. I know there's probably more money in that, but it would be less rewarding. So yeah, it was a spiral. I also spiraled again, like I said, knowing there were people out there who wanted to stop us from helping people. And yeah, it was really upsetting. It was a really rough time. But in the moments of clarity and confidence where I really thought what do I want to be doing for the next 2, 5, 10, 20, 30 years of my career, helping people become instructional designers has and will be the most rewarding thing for me. I mean, I spent most of my 20s doing this, right? I got into this field at 22. I started helping people become IDs almost immediately after that. And I've spent all of my 20s pouring, sleepless nights, so much time and energy into this program. I couldn't just turn my back on it and give up on it. And it's my whole team's priority too, right? We like helping people get that transformation. So I read this book right here, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. It had been on my bookshelf for a while, and it just felt like it just called to me because it felt like I had this insurmountable process we needed to go through, and it felt so overwhelming. And reading this book at that time was really helpful. It was all about a lot of examples from history of all of these big names and in these greats from history, and how they didn't just randomly come up with a good idea and build this amazing thing overnight. A lot of these cases started with this potentially overwhelming obstacle, and then how they moved through it, overcame it, and then it led to something great. So it really started reframing how I was thinking about this, and I really started viewing it as an opportunity and recognizing, hey, yeah, if this was easy, everyone would do it, right? So I was finding the opportunities for our business to formalize our processes even more, opportunities for our students to add the legitimacy of being able to go through a licensed career school, get a certification by the end of it, have the state kind of being there to add that extra like legitimacy or support if students have any grievances. So I really started trying to find the opportunities in it, and reading this book was really helpful at the time. So I realized this isn't the end of the bootcamp. This isn't the end of my journey to help people become instructional designers. It was the next step in legitimizing my business, formalizing the support we provide, and just starting that next chapter, basically maturing the business a little bit because, again, I want it to be here for a long time to come. So it was very difficult, right? I was told by a lot of people, don't do it. This isn't worth it. People literally says to me, if you have any other options besides becoming a licensed career school, like do that. And I talked to people who are like high up in the higher ed space, people who had acquired licensed career school businesses and then felt like overwhelmed by the compliance of running them. Lawyers who were like, yeah, maybe you should like find an easier route. But what it came down to is I want to help people become instructional designers. So yeah, I could pivot and say, focus more on helping corporate IDs upskill, and I probably can make a lot more money that way. But if I can't tell people, hey, I can help you become an instructional designer, if I need to get a license in order to do that, that was the only option it felt like was available to me. So yeah, there was no other choice. And licensing was rough, right? There was so much legal compliance, like multi-100-page documents of all of the the state statutes and stuff we need to comply with. There was financial uncertainty because we couldn't market our program anymore saying, hey, we'll help you become an instructional designer. And I'll talk a little bit more about what we did to kind of keep the lights on in the meantime. But yeah, I was scared. I was unsure of how it was going to impact our sales and if I'd be able to keep my whole team on board throughout this process. And I had a lot of fear of failure too, like what would happen if we didn't get our license, right? Where is that going to leave us? What if they say no, and then I'm not even allowed to help people become instructional designers, which is what it feels like my whole purpose is right now. So yeah, despite all the fears, all the overwhelm of the compliance, if this is what I had to do to help people become instructional designers and hopefully help them change their lives in the process with, remote roles and better work-life balance and higher pay, this is what I was going to have to do. So, and again, I realized, and what really kept me going through this is we're not just adding legitimacy to our program for ourselves, we're adding legitimacy and credibility for our graduates too, because they'll be completing this licensed career school. So I was really looking for the silver lining here. I was looking at it more, trying my best, I should say, to look at it as an opportunity rather than some big hairy obstacle that's gonna slow us down. So it did of course slow us down for a little bit, right? It took a ton of resources to go through this process. So we did, because things were going so well in the beginning of 2024, I had recently done a lot of hiring. I had committed more to some people, brought on some more full-time support, and I had to go back on that, right? We had to downsize because of the uncertainty. We had to, tighten up our expenses. We also had to scale back the bootcamp messaging and the price point. So again, I couldn't tell people, hey, I'll help you become an ID or give you your money back, because we weren't allowed to do that unless we got our license. So I lowered the price point quite significantly. I reduced the amount of deliverables people get feedback on in the bootcamp program. And instead of saying, hey, I'll help you become an instructional designer, we had to say, hey, we'll help you build, in-demand skills and create an impressive portfolio website. But we couldn't take it past there without this license. We paused our Devlin Peck promise, right? That was really hard for me because I like putting my money where my mouth is and saying, hey, if you don't land that role, you'll get your money back. But we couldn't do that because we couldn't tell people we'll help them land the role. So we had to pause this. I'll talk more about this later because we were able to include this for Peck Academy, which I fought for and I'm really happy about. And yeah, like I said, we still help people build those in-demand skills, build strong portfolio sites. We had healthy enrollments. We had a lot of people create some really cool stuff in there. So we still kept the lights on. We were still offering the support while going through this big process, even though we couldn't keep as many team members as I would have liked. And then almost 11 months to the day after getting that initial letter, we had our license in hand. So it was a crazy effort. Shout out to the team for helping make this happen, but we got there. So we're licensed. We are a licensed career school. We are offering one program, and it's our Instructional Design Professional Certification Program. We had our curriculum reviewed by an independent advisory board of people in the field who have no affiliation with us. And we got the stamp of approval from the state saying we meet all of the legal compliance requirements. So it's official, right? We are having a launch party. So if you're inspired by this, or if you've been following along the journey, for a year or years, we would love to have you at our launch party. We're going to have our advisory committee there, which is made up of senior IDs and hiring managers. I'm going to ask people to join who have been in the boot camp for years and have been working in the field for years and working on really impressive projects. We're going to have the team answering questions there. We're going to do some networking. We're going to do like a quick portfolio project building event. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if any of that is interesting to you, you can sign up with the link in the description, and I'll send out an agenda so you can pick and choose what sessions in that party you want to come to. So yeah, my mindset has changed quite a bit, right? I had to deal with a lot of competitors kind of trying to get us not to do this, trying to get us to just kind of give up on this mission. Some trolls who kind of, talk about how, oh, Devlin's never worked in this field. He has no experience. He doesn't know what he's doing. So it was really hard in the beginning dealing with, hearing people say stuff like that and knowing that our competitors are kind of moving in this way. But this really helped give me some clarity. So going through this process really showed me what's important to me and why I'm doing this. And shows me what matters most to me, right? It's not just having a successful business, it's running a business where we can have an impact and help people have a real transformation in their lives. So I'm in a much better spot with dealing with the haters, the trolls, the competitors who are kind of, trying to cast doubt on our program and stuff like that. So I'm trying to build a school and a program that will be here in 10, 20, 50, 100 years, right? I want this to outlast me. And I feel like we are in a much better spot now for this school to be operating for decades to come. Now that we got our license and have that added legitimacy, we have this independent review committee who's going to, make sure year after year that our committee is in line with the industry's needs. So we're going to be turning out some really effective instructional designers. And I'm feeling much more confident about it now that we've gone through this process. Came out the other end stronger than ever. So the way I'm looking at it, right, I just turned 30. It took 5 years to get us to this point where we are this licensed career school. We're just getting started, right? I have my whole career ahead of me. We have an amazing team who's been working with us for years. So we are just getting started. And if you want to know what went into this licensing process, I'm going to share some of that too. So some behind the scenes of the documents, right? What it actually took to get here. So we had to, do the formal administrative stuff, like create the, Peck Academy LLC, right? We had to get insured. We had to do our financial projections, all of that kind of compliance stuff that I won't really bore you with. But we also had to design our curriculum. So while we used more of like a prototype driven approach for building all of our courses previously, where I'll start with a vision, I'll do focus groups and get feedback on that vision. We'll start building out the course, and then we'll get feedback every week from the students who are in that course to continue like revising until the whole thing is done. So that's what we had done previously, but now we needed to formalize it much more. So we needed standards and competencies and learning objectives, assessment plans and syllabi. So all the stuff that you would expect at an actual like university class or something, we needed all of those formal documents to back up our coursework. So we did that, and I can actually show you that if you'd like to see it. So let's pull this up here. So here are our standards and competencies. So the way we did this, actually, I realize I'm going to get deeper into the weeds after this slide. So let's just look at this overview. So we also formed our advisory committee. So we got 5 completely independent people, senior IDs, directors of learning, hiring managers to review our curriculum, and then, give us feedback on it, and we approved it accordingly. We also created a school catalog and enrollment agreement. So this is stuff for potential students to look at, see everything that they'd be agreeing to, everything that we're committing to them. Basically, make it as clear as possible what the commitment is so that, we're always on the same page. People always know exactly what they're enrolling in. We had to have record keeping systems too. So we have to keep some records for 25 years. We have to make sure they're like fireproofed and safe. We have like transcripts. And then we also have that certificate to formalize the certification program. So I'm going to show you some of all of this. Oh yeah, and then we already had a great training program that some of our team put together. Shout out Robbie Christian for leading that effort. So we just had to formally document it all for whenever someone new joins the team, anyone from someone who's going to help out in the community or on the sales front, or entire instructors who are going to work directly with students. So this is kind of an overview of everything that went into this licensing process, but let's take a closer look at what I think y'all will be most interested in. So yeah, to start designing the curriculum, we worked from our existing content that we knew was already quite effective for our students. We looked at hiring manager data, and we also reviewed every other professional competency that has been published by like a body in our field. So there are some like independent nonprofits or associations and whatnot that do create these competencies that say this is what it takes to be an effective instructional designer. And here is what we came up with. So we have a handful around performance improvement and instructional design. So notice we have like the standard, and then we dive into the competencies. So, you need to be able to conduct needs assessments, conduct analyses in general so that you can tailor your learning experience to your audience, apply business terminology, right? Business acumen is really important, especially in the corporate space. Recommend recommend learning and non-learning solutions rather than just throwing e-learning at everything. And then we, of course, need to design effective learning experiences to achieve learning goals. So we talk, following ID models, writing good learning goals, writing measurable learning objectives, applying learning theory. So you can see we get really deep in here, collaborating with SMEs, managing cognitive load, creating instructional design documents, storyboards, design docs. So I don't know, again, I don't want to bore y'all, but it's really deep. So we get into assessment and evaluation. We get into project management, heavy on development, right? We do have a big Storyline 360 course, and that's part of the reason why people are able to land roles so well coming out of our program is because of the deep e-learning skills, visual design skills, integrating AI. So again, this is the way we want to stay on the cutting edge of these programs too. Because we're a career school, we can move a bit faster than university programs and stuff like that. And we're already incorporating a lot of different AI tools and workflows into our courses and content. And then, of course, the professional branding and presentation, actually creating that portfolio resume and LinkedIn profile to get hired. So yeah, 11 standards, dozens of competencies. We're really proud of them. And that's what forms the basis for the rest of our curriculum. So we drafted that, we built our learning objectives, program maps, syllabi. So again, this is like a couple 100-page document. That's just the competencies, but for each competency, we also have an assessment, and then we have our performance assessment plans. So we talk about the competencies we're targeting, we have the directions we're sharing with students, and then the criteria we're using to assess that competency. So again, we have like 13 to 17 of these at this point. So every single assessment, we have a very detailed plan for how we're actually evaluating that. Like I mentioned, we have syllabi, we have learning plans. So this is for the ID project lab. We have the overview, all the competencies, and I want to show you, we also have learning objectives. So these are the performance standards. And then this is based on all of these learning objectives here. So this is just one of the courses in the program. So you can imagine the work that went into this. Sabrina Gonzalez helped a lot with compiling all of this and, helping refine these learning objectives. So shout out to her. It was a big team effort in general, but yeah, some of us are much more involved in the licensing process than others. So as you can see, right, we had to go really deep on the ID work. And you can see, again, all of these learning objectives that went into this curriculum. This is for the Storyline Project Lab. So we have pages of them, and we, of course, have content and assessment to back up everything. So it's a lot. We have syllabi, learning maps. Yeah, I won't bore you with that. If anyone wants to see this, I could show you, but yeah, once we had this in place, then we put out the call to action and say, anyone out there, if you're a leader in the field or you have a lot of experience in the field, we'd love you to join our advisory committee, review all of our curriculum, give us feedback to make it better, and ensure that our curriculum is preparing these like mid-level instructional designers so they can land roles successfully in the field and make a big impact on whatever team they join. So yeah, then we went through rounds of review with them. And if you do want to join this, if you are someone with like over 10 years of experience in the field, or you know someone who would be a good fit for this, we're always looking to expand this. So right now we're at 5. I want to be at 10 by the end of the year. And then the commitment is doing a review of our curriculum. And then every year we meet to review the curriculum again and make sure that, it's up to date and aligned with the changing needs of the field. And I'll also just remind you, if you do want to hear from our advisory committee and meet them, they will be at that party on May 16th. So feel free to register for that. We also created a catalog. Okay, so this is where we reviewed all of our existing content and hiring manager data. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think I updated this actual slide, but I'm just going to show you the catalog. So the catalog is something that we can provide to our students so they can learn more about the program and see all of the requirements laid out like really deep in detail. So this is what this looks like. And yeah, this is a public document, so any of y'all can go and grab this from our website if you want. And so we outline our team, we outline the program, the different courses, who can apply and how to apply, the program costs and payment options, our refund policy, which again is prorated. So that was something I'm really happy we changed. Previously with the boot camp, we had like either, you can get a refund in your first 7 days, or you can get a refund once you complete the program if you don't land a role. So there wasn't a lot of room in between, and we had a couple of cases where people wanted refunds. We didn't give them to them. They were upset and posted about it online. And then I realized, hey, this refund policy isn't really working. Even though we're like following our policy, people still aren't very happy about that policy. So we changed it now. So if you're in the program for like 10% of the time, you can get 90% of your money back. If you're in the program for 20% of the time, you get 80% of your money back. So we made it much more generous so that whenever someone decides to like leave the program, if they want to, they can get a prorated refund and not feel like, they lost that huge investment that they made to join the program. So yeah, we outlined all of that in here, program policies and all of that, graduation requirements. So yeah, feel free to check this out if you want, right? It goes into all of our courses at a much higher level than what I was showing you in the curriculum document. But yeah, so we made we created stuff like this as part of the licensing program to make sure that people know exactly what they're getting into. Here is the enrollment agreement. So there's some more like legal and compliance documents like this to make everything much clearer and better documented. We also have, better student record keeping. So we have quarterly progress reports, and we also have a transcript. So we're pretty happy about this. This is something that goes ahead and shows like, have our students mastered each of these competencies that are a part of the program. And we summarized it in this like easy way to review at a glance. In case students want to show this with hiring managers or potential clients to show exactly what went into this learning experience. And then finally, well, let me check our slides, make sure I'm not getting too much ahead of myself, but we're getting towards the end here. Yeah, let me show you our brand guidelines. So Sabrina Gonzalez has been really helping with the brand identity. I mean, Nathan Wolf too, it's been a team effort. Tyler Abel has been helping out a lot as well with these other documents I showed you. But yeah, here are our brand guidelines. So we're trying to still be close enough to Devlin Peck where it doesn't feel like an entirely different company, but also be distinct enough, to still give Peck Academy a brand identity of its own. So we really like this this style right here, where we can highlight real people with these like digital components as well. I think that serves well for kind of like our approach to the field too, right? If you're good at the people skills and the technical skills, you can do really well in the field. And then we did some surveying and some focus groups with people to get their feedback on it. And it seems like y'all really like this style as well. So yeah, we're going with green instead of blue as like our supporting color. We're still using those 2 letters within a circle for our logo. We have that forward arrow to signify that forward progress and growth. So let me know what y'all think about this, right? We're still working on it, but I think it's a pretty solid start. And then here are these credentials too. So we'll have that, the badge that people can have on their LinkedIn profile in the education section. We have this actual certificate to highlight that you've earned that ID professional certification. So we're making a lot of progress, right? We are getting there. We're launching next month. Yeah, and I'm going to transition and talk about some of our biggest wins going through this process. The biggest win for me is keeping this promise. So it's called the Peck Academy promise, and it's if you don't land a role within 6 months of completing the program, you get 100% of your tuition back. So I had to fight for this one. Our lawyers were like, you probably shouldn't do that. The licensing body initially was like, I don't know if we can approve this. So we had to make the language much more specific, say exactly what it takes to graduate, and just get really clear on the language, but we were able to keep it in. And I love this because, yeah, we are 100% confident that we can help our students land roles if they complete the program. And, you know, the competitors, the trolls online, whatever, they could talk as much crap as they want about the program or about me and my experience, but it doesn't change the fact that we are really good at helping people get good jobs in this field. And it helps show our students that commitment too. So it's like, if we fail you, we'll give you your money back. And we've offered this promise for years, and never once has someone had to take us up on that promise. So yeah, really glad I was able to keep it in here. I hope that shows the commitment we make to our students about helping them get hired. So yeah, so that's the promise. I'm also really glad we were able to keep our curriculum so project-based and portfolio focused, because again, the portfolio is what really sets people apart and helps them get hired. And I was worried initially that if we were going towards this more like academic school model, we would have to have these like formal tests and assessments, but that doesn't really help you get hired, right? So all of our deliverables that we're assessing are actual portfolio deliverables or projects that we're reviewing. It's never just like a 50 question multiple choice test. So it is still very project based, which I'm really happy about. And yeah, again, the biggest win that I'm seeing is I'm really glad we're able to just offer that added legitimacy and credibility for our students, for our graduates, knowing that the curriculum that they're taking has been reviewed by an independent body of experts, knowing that the school has the legitimacy of a private career school. So, and then finally, yeah, that brand, this is something I've been thinking about and wanting to do for years, like kind of separating, Devlin Peck, the person, from the brand that is helping people become instructional designers. Like I was saying, I want this to grow beyond me. It always kind of didn't sit amazing with me that everything was under my legal government name. So I'm really glad now that we are creating this separate brand and this separate identity that is all about helping people get certified in the field and land really solid roles. And then at least my personal brand, a little, room for some more flexibility, behind the scenes content like this, advanced e-learning development content like we've been creating. So yeah, I'm happy that we have that distinction now and that Peck Academy can grow on its own. So yeah, if you made it to the end, thank you. If you want to party with us and celebrate this past year of effort, feel free to register for the party. It's completely free. There's going to be a lot of good networking opportunities. It's going to be very interactive. You can ask a ton of questions and create some cool work while you're there. You can learn more about the Academy at peckacademy.com. We're still building out the full landing page, so if you're looking at it immediately, it might not be fully ready, but I'll keep you posted on that. And then if you have any questions, right, like maybe you're creating a career school like this of your own, or you're interested in potentially joining the Academy, just go ahead and send an email to me at devlin@peckacademy.com. So thank you. I'm out of breath. I've been talking your ear off. I appreciate you making it to the end, and I will see you in the next video.